Hello world and welcome. I'm Don, and in today's video we're going to take a look at doing vignette in DxO Photolab if you don't have the Filmpack installed. So this video is on the back of a comment that I saw online. I'm on a Facebook group for DxO Photolab, and someone who's been doing the trial said they're kind of keen on getting Photolab, but it was kind of a deal breaker if you had to have Filmpack in order to do a vignette. So they posted that question out. And on the group, several people responded with some great ideas about how to do it, and I thought that would actually make a really great video. So that's why I'm here today. Let's have a look at doing a vignette if you don't have Filmpack. So this is the image I'm going to use, and I've just gone ahead and made 5 copies of it. One I'm going to leave as the original, and starting with this one, I'll apply different approaches to vignette. If you happen to have Filmpack installed, you will have access to a vignette filter. Only if you've got Filmpack. And that's where this, as I say, this is where this video has come from, is a question about what if you don't have Filmpack. But let me just show you this really quickly to start with. In the FX area, creative vignetting, pretty standard stuff. If you've ever used a vignette before, pop it down, pop it up, depending which way you want to go. And you get some ability to move things around. You can set your center point, maybe down here on this one, for example. You can crank that all the way down so you can see what you're doing. You can adjust these so that you get just the sort of approach that you want. Again, all pretty standard stuff. So we'll maybe leave this at around -30 or something like this one. And here is the vignette before and after. Great. Okay, so item number 2. I've just moved across, and the next 3 things are all going to be in local adjustments, but there'll be slightly different approaches in local adjustments. So I'll go ahead and click on my local adjustments. I'm going to just right-click to verify that I've got a control point selected, and sure enough I do, so that's all good, and I will drop a control point on there. I'm going to press my M key, and that shows me my mask. It shows me what's selected. So currently, and you can drag this around, and you might use this to your advantage depending on what you want to do. But for now, I'll just leave it here. That's all good because I'm going to do a real basic one, and that is I'm going to come over here to these controls, and I'm just going to drop them both down, and it's going to make just a basic radial filter for me. That radial filter is going to be strongest in the center and work its way out. All good. So I can now press my M key, and essential, or actually I'll press my M key one more time. Essential here is this right here, invert mask. So now it's going to protect the black and ease its way into the rest. So press my M key again, and I can start to bring that down. So kind of like that. And you can do it in different ways too. You can kind of play around and experiment. So that's just a general, that's going to bring everything down together. But maybe you want to not bring your highlights down too much. Maybe you want to bring your midtones. Maybe you want to bring your shadowy areas down, but you want to leave a bit more of the highlight there. See, so you can just dial it in just a little bit more in terms of what you want to actually do with that. We'll see how I've gone. So depending on what you want, but I'll go ahead and stop that there. I think you probably get the idea. And keep in mind too, let me reset this for a second. Let's go this because this is just a little easier. Let's say that I put that down. You've also got the added control on the side here, in that you can, while this is selected, impact the opacity. So you can go a little more heavy-handed than you need to, and then dial it in after the fact as well. So it's quite flexible. I think it works nicely. Let's see. I'll kind of go there. Cool. Call that good. So that's item number 2. Just using that. You can also, I guess I should say before I come off this, if you want to get into the experimentation with it, you can also, if I just go to M key here, currently we have that quite flat. And you can get into, providing some difference in how it applies as it goes out as well, and just kind of give it a play and see what you think. But for now, I'll just leave that leave that as flat. But that's another sort of aspect that you can play with in terms of what's going to get hit how much. And so you may be not applying it equally across the entire thing. So I will turn off local adjustments, come back here to reset. So let's go with approach number 3. Still in my local adjustments. I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose control line. And I'm going to bring a control line in. And this has got, we can, again, in terms of the selection, we can we're indicating what it is we want to be impacting most. And we can add another one. This is a child of the first one. It does not have its own set of controls. It will react, just like that. And I can add another one, also a child of that. Okay. Go ahead and pop that there. Where did this one go? This is kind of on the red, but yeah, you kind of get the picture. So you can lay that out, and then same. You can bring it down like that. Or you can do that little trick like I showed you where you might alter which tonalities go down how much, etc., etc. But that works really well. And one of the great benefits of this, as you noticed, is I didn't really feel like it needed it at the bottom, so I didn't use it at the bottom. I just used it on the sides that I wanted to use it on. You might do this in the opposite direction if the sky that you had, if it's going to look a bit funky, if you try to darken it down. Maybe you want sort of a vignette-ish effect on parts of the image, but not other parts. So that's really great for this one. All right, so the last way I'm going to do this on this last image, also again in the local adjustments, I keep turning that off just so that I'm kind of doing the full process. I'm going into my local adjustments, and this time, oops, let me go back here. Boom. All right, so last technique, and once again, I'm going to come up and turn on my local adjustments. I keep turning it off, by the way, so that I go through the whole process, including entering the local adjustments. So I come into the local adjustments. This one is going to use the brush. So I'm going to right-click, get my little menu here, and choose a brush. And then I can muck about with my flow and my opacity, my size, etc. My feathering I'm going to leave all the way up because I want it as soft as possible. I probably want like that. I'm just going to ease this in. I'm going to kind of go around. You see I'm actually drawing sort of outside the lines in a way. It's just giving me a real nice soft. And I'm not going down the bottom. I don't feel like I need that. I'm going to double up the top. I've had 2 passes on that top bit because I went back up that way. And do a second pass there. So something along those lines. And then I can come in again and down that however I see fit, or like I did before, maybe I want to impact different bits of it differently. Maybe I want to leave the highlights quite intact and just attack other bits of it. So you can kind of just play around with that however you want. But again, nice little technique. And of course, as with other techniques, I've got my brush on here, and I can, if I end up going a bit heavy-handed, I can ease that back in here, and it works really well. And if I ever want to add to it, no problem. Just make sure that's selected, and you can come in. Maybe I want to down the size of my brush quite substantially. Maybe I just want to come along the edge here just a little bit, and do that. You can shift it a little bit. Don't know how well that's showing up, but hopefully you can see if I grab that, I can actually shift if I feel like it's not centered quite right. And last but not least, a really neat feature of this is if my line's a little too noticeable, if I hold down my Alt, I get an eraser tool. Or if I right click and choose the eraser, I tend to try to just use the Alt key. So I hold down the Alt, I get the eraser tool. I can, while I'm holding it, I sometimes mess that up. See if I let it go, brush settings, eraser settings. And you can see that happening over here. Eraser settings, brush settings, eraser settings. So make sure you keep holding Alt. And you can, make it so that you can really just take a little niggle away. You can increase the size and whatever you want to do. But you can just kind of make it. Oops, do you know what I just did? Do you know what I just did? I'll just undo. After all that talk of not letting up my Alt key, at the pinnacle moment when I was about to do my erasing, I let go of the Alt key. So let me hold that. We'll try that again. So you can just give it a little weave there, and just a little nudge, because it's just a little bit of it, and it'll just ease those edges off. So it's a nice little technique. So there you have it. 4 different ways to, we'll close this local adjustments now, 4 different ways to go about it. So we have the original image. We have a bit of vignette put on just with the vignette tool. We have vignette put on with the control point and then inverted. Remember, the invert button is right here. So I made my control point as you normally would, turned down the chroma and luma so that it would just be a radial filter essentially. And then I inverted it so that it would apply this. This one was done with control lines. In this case, I just did 3 sides. I did not do this side down here. Nice little technique for that one. And this one was just done with the brush. So that is 3 different ways to do it if you don't have Filmpack installed. So as you can see, you still have lots of options in Photolab if you want to do a vignette. Lots of different ways to go about it, and in some ways, some of those ways that I showed in this video today are more flexible than just a straight up vignette tool. So I think that's pretty cool. Let me know in the comments if there are other ways that I haven't thought of. You know, I just trolled my brain to see what I could come up with, but no doubt in the wide world there are other ways to do this. So drop it below, and with that I'll say thanks for watching, bye for now, and I'll talk again soon.